Okay, this is my last video and it's going to be super short. This is about immigration and health. So, I'm going to give you some terms. A refugee is a person fleeing his or her native country because of war, famine, or persecution. That is different from a migrant. A migrant is a person who moves to another country to improve his or her life, and they're not fleeing armed conflict or persecution, although they may be fleeing economic conditions. Immigrants, according to the CDC, are persons who move to another country and are granted permanent legal residency. That's the condition for immigrant. Undocumented migrant is a person who has migrated to this country and does not have legal residency status. And then we have internally displaced people who are forced to leave their homes but reside within their home country. And I'm also going to talk about the healthy immigrant effect. And this refers to the fact that most people who make the trip, who migrate, are generally in better health to start than non-migrant people in the country of origin, and sometimes in better health than the people in their host country. They're generally younger, and if they were in any way ill or in poor health, they would not decide to migrate because it's a very arduous journey. That effect vanishes with the length of time in the new country. And that has to deal with social determinants of health, issues of housing, issues of food security, issues of education, unfair labor practices, and work environments, and adoption of unhealthy habits, including food customs of the host country. And sometimes folks that come from countries that have lots of fruits and vegetables come here and they live in food deserts. So that becomes a social determinant of health. So some health disparities for migrant population, and mostly it focuses on limited access to healthcare and other resources. So undocumented migrants are ineligible for Medicaid or other assistance, and that includes during pregnancy and childbirth, although children of undocumented folks are considered legal citizens of the country and usually are eligible for those services and those programs. Workplace conditions for undocumented people are often horrible. Migrant populations might live with 20 people in a 9 by 12 room, which is not good for infection control. They work long hours, restaurants, farm, agriculture, house cleaning, and very often their employers are very well aware that one phone call to ICE means that that person is done. So if they give them any problems, they can just go away and they'll replace them with a new migrant next week. So workplace conditions definitely have an effect on migrant health. And then we have the huge gaps created by income, wealth, and the gap in education. This impacts their ability to procure services. So if they can't access free healthcare, and then they can't access for-profit healthcare or fee-based healthcare, then they can't access healthcare at all. And if they have to choose between healthcare and rent or food, very often healthcare is the last to go, especially things like preventative medicine. Implicit bias and structural racism means that when they do access care, it's often of lower quality than that which would be given to people who did not have migrant status. And then we have issues of food and housing insecurity, which impact health negatively. And then there's the huge political debate surrounding immigrant health right versus privilege. Is health a human right that we need to provide, or is it a privilege that only tax-paying citizens should be able to afford? So this article by Park and Chokshi is from The Lancet, which is a British medical journal, and they were kind of calling out the U.S. During COVID. In 2022, they wrote, "Each new generation has to be kept healthy, educated in appropriate ways, and exposed to cultural life." So wherever your origin is, life has to be sustained. And they point out that immigrants participate in civic, cultural, and economic life, often in ways that are essential to the health of the nation. It was pointed out later in this article that if all the migrants left, we would have to raise the wage on many of the jobs that migrants do to the point and offer benefits to the point where many businesses could not sustain themselves, and the economy would be jeopardized. Now, on the other side of the column, we have this quote from Ron DeSantis, and it was in 2021 at the CPAC convention, I think. We reject open borders and instead support American sovereignty and the American worker. Building a movement on the foundation of amnesty and cheap foreign labor is like building a house on a field of quicksand. And although I understand how some people worry about the sustainability of having a large migrant population, I don't think his position is as well thought through as Park and Chokchi's. That is my personal opinion. You may form your own. And that is the end of all the video lectures, but there are some materials that I would like you to watch. La Clínica de Migrantes is a documentary, and though it's from 2017, pre-COVID, it's still really good. Puentes de Salud is a clinic in Philadelphia, and they see immigrants exclusively, and it is all pro bono. It is the only way that some of these folks are getting care. And they have limited resources, but they do the best they can. So I'm going to give you some access to that. And I'd also like you to see a TED Talk on cultural humility. So I'll put those materials in the module, and you'll have your discussion board post very shortly. Thank you, and have a great night and week.